Donor-advised funds, or DAFs, have experienced a meteoric rise in popularity in recent years, reshaping the landscape of philanthropy. Assets in DAFs have skyrocketed, growing by billions annually, and now represent a significant portion of charitable giving. Fundraising professionals must understand this phenomenon to effectively engage donors and maximize philanthropic impact. Today we'll delve into the world of DAFs, demystifying the process of exploring their potential. We're joined by Veronica Jamison, the Vice President of Philanthropic Services of Community Foundation of Greater Memphis, a leading community foundation in Tennessee. Veronica, thank you for being here today. Now, what we'll do is we'll jump right into our questions. Could you provide a concise overview of what a donor-advised fund, or a DAF, is and how it operates within a community foundation like yours?
Sure. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to have this conversation. You know, it really starts with generous donors, generous people like in the Greater Memphis community. A donor-advised fund is a charitable tool, and simply put, it acts as if it's a charitable bank account. A donor opens a fund at the community foundation when they're ready by making a gift of cash or securities, and in return, they receive an immediate tax deduction. The beautiful thing is we are a public charity, so we are able to sort of be the housing sort of format for that. And so while the money is with us, the donor can invest it and it's gonna grow tax-free, giving the opportunity to grant more money out into the community in which they care about the most.
Awesome, awesome. I really like that there is a kind of a mechanism like the Community Foundation to be able to receive these funds, but you don't necessarily lose control of it.
Sure.
People are able to still kind of direct where they want those funds to go to and to serve our community.
Absolutely.
Our next question, what steps does a donor typically take to establish a DAF at your community foundation? And what factors should they consider when choosing a sponsoring organization?
Sure. That's a great question, by the way. It can be super complicated, but we really try to make it easy at the Community Foundation. A donor usually comes to us in one or two forms. They're working with their professional advisor, figuring out sort of which is the right vehicle for them to explore, and in partnership with us, they join in with their professional advisor to open the fund. Or they can reach out directly to us and we can help get them started. So either way, once they're here, we make it really, really easy. Really the important part of the Community Foundation is that we are investing it here locally, and it creates an opportunity for the donor to do this in a really, really efficient way. We handle the administrative details that really relieves the burden from the donor so that they can be strategic and really intentional in the way that they give. So we're sort of the back office, so to speak. Choosing the Community Foundation also gives the donor an opportunity to create a legacy in the community, probably one that has shaped them, made them who they are. They really have that ability to create that long-lasting legacy for themselves and their families. Also, there are corporate and local organizations that are sponsors of donor-advised funds, and that's why it's really important to work with a sponsoring organization that has their ear to the ground, knows where the greatest needs are, and can truly help you align your passions to organizations that you care about most.
I love that. It's almost like a donor has a team and you all are their team. So that's perfect. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Absolutely.
So once a DAF is established, how does the donor advise on the distribution of the funds to their chosen charity or cause? What is typically the timeline for a grant recommendation and a distribution?
Sure. No, that's a great question too. Very similar to what I shared at the top of this is it's like a charitable bank account. So when you open up your bank account, we've got to give you 24/7 online access to that account. And that's exactly what we do when you become a donor at the Community Foundation. You'll have your own donor review portal. You can log in at any time, see what your balance is, see how the fund is doing, and then make those grant recommendations out. And so from a timeline standpoint, you can do that at any time. However, our donor services team is there and ready, and we do process grants twice a month, one at the middle of the month and then towards the end of the month. And that's just really to ensure that we are timely and efficient and things are going to the right in the appropriate organizations.
Awesome. Now, donors can actually access their account 24/7.
Yes.
But they can only access you all during business hours.
That is correct. That's 9 to 5.
9 to 5. Gotcha. Our next question is, are there restrictions or limitations on the type of charities or causes that donors can support through their DAFs?
That's another great question. I'm loving it. We try to really be nimble and be open, but of course with every organization there are policies and procedures, and there are a few that we really try to stick to when asking our donors to keep in mind when they're making those grants.
Sure.
A couple of things. You can't use your donor advised fund to send money to yourself, right? You can't, that's not charitable, right?
Understood.
You can't send it to a sister, brother, or a relative, so we really sort of try to watch and flag things that happen like that. Another most interesting fact is membership dues, program fees, tickets, things of that nature are prohibited. But as long as an organization is in the IRS 501c3 good standing, we can pretty much grant to any organization. And I must add, if the organization is on the Southern Poverty Hate Map group, certainly that doesn't quite align with our values. So that's it. But other than that, you can do what you want.
Seems like a pretty simple list to kind of manage and make sure that, we stay in order and stay in line with those DAFs. So I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Absolutely.
Now, how does your community foundation ensure the proper vetting of charities and due diligence in grant making when fulfilling donor recommendations from a DAF?
Yes, no, that's another great question. Another wonderful thing about a community foundation as your sort of supporting organization to do this is we've got a team of dedicated donor services staff members who are dedicated to thoroughly vetting these organizations. One, when a new organization sort of enters into the space, that team's doing a great job of checking to ensure that the company or the organization is in good standing with the IRS, and they are doing that on an ongoing, regular basis. So it really just is important to ensure that these organizations also are consistently aligning with the values of the community foundation.
Awesome. So they have to align with the mission of the donor as well as the mission of the community foundation too.
Absolutely, and that's what really makes a community foundation unique, is because doing the good together really makes a bigger impact on the wider space of the community.
Yeah, I love that, doing good together. So in the spirit of all transparency and accountability, this is where this question is coming from. Transparency and accountability are crucial in philanthropy, and we all know that. But how does your community foundation ensure transparency in the management and administration of DAFs, both for the donor and also the public?
Oh, that's an excellent question. I don't think we praise our finance friends enough. We really could not do it without them. They are sort of the first point of review. Our donor services team receives the request, and then we share it with our finance team, and they are doing all of the right checks and balances to ensure that things are proper and in order. And then once the finance team reviews it, we send those exact same grants to our executive committee. They review it, and they are made of our board of governor members. So they're, again, thoroughly, they've got multiple different checkpoints to ensure that we are transparent and accountable to the donor's intentions. In addition to the public, right, we know public scrutiny continues to grow in this space, and we are a public charity, so we have 990s, audits. All of our financials are available and online for anyone to review at any point that they want to.
Awesome, awesome. I think, again, just having that opportunity to have someone who's going to manage it in an orderly way, and then also be transparent with sharing what's happening, where's the impact. These are our processes. I think it's important, and that's what any donor could want and ask for.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, one of our almost last questions, but you're doing wonderful. I love all these answers. It's giving me education in DAFs as you speak. What are some of the tax benefits associated with donating to a DAF? And how do they compare to other charitable giving vehicles?
Yeah, no, this is a complex one, and I even had to do a little bit of extra homework on this one myself, because this is important for us to share and to get it right. Contributions to a donor advised fund qualify for the maximum deductibility for income, gift, and estate tax purposes by receiving an immediate tax deduction in the year the gift was made. So that's really important. In the year that it's made, you're going to get that deduction in that year. It also allows for reduction in capital gains tax or appreciated assets that donors put towards their fund, which is another really important selling point, especially when they're working with their advisors at the end of the year to wrap up tax things. That all too is added benefit to donor advised funds. And then also don't forget, any invested dollars in a donor advised fund, they earn growth tax free. So again, I think I mentioned this earlier, your money is growing over time because it's being invested. And then you ultimately can give out more to the community at a rate in which you most likely didn't contribute in the beginning. So that's the really amazing thing about this particular tool. And if you give through your donor advised fund, since the taxable event happens when you give it to us, you only need one receipt. If you are giving it to multiple organizations, you're going to have to gather all of those receipts from all of those organizations. So really using a donor advised fund as a tool really simplifies it for you.
Sounds wonderful. Simplification
Yes.
of the whole process.
We know that we all have very limited time to do all the things.
Yeah, I love that. Now, as we look towards the future, what trends do you foresee in the world of donor advised funds or DAFs? How is your community foundation adapting to meet the evolving needs of the donor and the philanthropic landscape?
Right, yeah. Whew, the philanthropic landscape, it grows by the minute.
Yeah.
But donor advised funds are increasingly becoming more popular. People are learning about the tax benefits that they get, the flexibility of the funds. And so particularly even in the community foundation space, we are just seeing the growth off of the chart. So it's really exciting. Another thing that we can't avoid and ignore is technology and the growing platforms. We blink our eyes and there's another tool right there at our fingertips. So the advances in technology will continue to transform this landscape. And government bodies are looking in a little bit more closely, right? They're paying attention to donor advised funds. They really want to know what's happening. And that continues to be another big growing trend in this space. But however, at the Community Foundation, we continue to have a strong commitment to evaluating our practices, listening to our donors, assessing the needs of the community, and really adjusting and align our strategic plan and priorities to ensure that we are growing as the landscape here, not only in the greater Memphis area expands, but as philanthropic efforts expand nationally.
Awesome, awesome. I think it's really awesome that we have the Community Foundation here and you doing this work in Memphis as well. I think it is a great opportunity for us to really see some impact in our greater community. Thank you so much for your time today, Veronica. We are really lucky to have you and the Community Foundation here doing this great work in the community.
Thanks for having us. This was a great conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, again, we wanted to say thank you to Veronica for her time and sharing information with us and shedding light on the intricate workings of the donor advised fund. As DAFs continue to gain prominence, it is crucial for both donors and fundraising professionals to understand their nuances and potential. We hope this conversation has provided valuable insight and demystified the process.